Welcome to Unfiltered and Unstoppable with Rob Romesburg. Real strategies for real advisors, a podcast that dives into what it takes to scale a thriving financial practice. Each week, we'll discuss actionable strategies, tools, and insights to keep you ahead in today's financial landscape. From innovative products and powerful marketing tactics, you'll get unfiltered truth and unstoppable strategies. Let's get started by building your unstoppable financial practice today.
Welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered and Unstoppable. I am your host, Rob Romesburg. Very excited that you're here today. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. If you are one of our regular listeners, thank you. I truly and genuinely appreciate the fact that you spend part of your day with me. Before we jump in, if you find value in these episodes, make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, share this episode with your team, with your firm, because the goal of this podcast has always been simple. It's to help advisors become more intentional, more effective, more impactful, and ultimately to build businesses that create freedom rather than stress. And today we are going to be talking about what may be one of the biggest opportunities available to advisors over the next decade. And believe it or not, it's not AI. It's not investment management. It's not annuities. It's not tax planning. It's not estate planning. It's not marketing. It's not prospecting. It's something much bigger, something that affects each and every single one of those things. We're talking about client experiences, more specifically, client experiences that set you apart. And here's why this matters. Um, Most advisors spend years trying to become better advisors, which is great. Definitely should do that. However, very few spend enough time becoming unforgettable advisors. And there's a significant difference there. So, the big question, I always like to start with a question. And honestly, it may be one of the most important questions you ever ask yourself. What do your clients actually experience when they work with you? Not what do they buy, not what products do they own, not what are the reports that they receive, not what software you're using, not even the planning process that you follow, but what do they actually experience? Because if we're being honest, most advisors can explain their products. Most advisors can explain their planning process. Most can explain their investment philosophy. Most can explain their fee structure. But surprisingly, very few can clearly articulate what a client actually experiences from the first interaction all the way through a decade long relationship. So if you think about your own life, when was the last time that you became fiercely loyal to a company simply because of their product alone? Probably not often. I'm sure it's happened. Because think about it this way: there are dozens of restaurants out there that have burgers. There are all kinds of hotel rooms out there that have a bed and a sink. And then there are all kinds of companies out there selling similar products. Yet we all have our favorites. Why is that? Simply because of the experience. That's it. The experience, what you felt, what you saw, what you smelled, what was a part of it, because they help you to remember something important. Maybe the way that that organization made you feel valued. Maybe because they removed friction, or even cooler, they anticipated your needs because they actually cared. And that same principle, by the way, applies to financial advisor firms. What I want you to think about is, if I called 10 of your clients today and asked them why they are your client today, what do you think they would say? Do you think they're going to say Bob's got the greatest asset allocation? They might. Or do you think that, you know what, I just love Susie's investment models? Maybe. I am certain, however, most will not. most are going to say, I actually feel valued. I stay because of trust. I stay because of the confidence that I have in Jim. I stay confidence because of the way the firm makes me feel comfortable. I have such a connection with everyone within the firm. It's all about not only how you make them feel, but also how you made them feel in probably some of the biggest moments in their lives. So a few years ago, I had a conversation with an advisor who lost a substantial client relationship. Um, the client didn't leave because of performance. They didn't leave because of fees. They didn't leave because of the products. They simply left because another advisor made them feel more important. Think about that. The investments were fine. The planning was fine. The recommendations were fine. But here's what happened: the relationship became transactional. The client felt managed, like they were one of the investments, as opposed to known, as opposed to a relationship. So eventually, another advisor came along and just created a better experience. It was that simple. And when I heard that, that conversation really struck with me. Because I think many advisors just really underestimate just how powerful experiences really are. Clients don't compare necessarily advisor to advisor. They're comparing it to every experience that they've had in their life. Amazon, Apple, Disney, their favorite restaurant, their favorite hotel, their favorite local business. Those experiences become the standard. And whether or not we realize it, clients bring those expectations into our offices, into our firms each and every single day. So here's the challenge. The challenge right now, I brought up AI earlier. Financial planning, the knowledge of financial planning is becoming more accessible than ever. AI, the internet, there's investment information everywhere. You can get answers to questions in milliseconds, not even seconds. There's financial calculators that are free all over the place. Every single investment article out there, there's articles everywhere. They're endless. Roth calculations, Roth conversions. I can research that all day long, just sitting in my seat at home. Social security strategies, estate planning, retirement income, long-term care, tax planning, all of that I can get educated right from my phone. I don't even need a computer anymore. Thing is that information's no longer scarce. And because information is no longer scarce, expertise, relationships, experiences, it, that's what matters. Because expertise alone by itself becomes harder to differentiate. Now, don't misunderstand me. The technical knowledge obviously still matters. Your planning still matters. The experience still matters. But today it matters differently. S- Specifically because your clients, your prospects, they can find information almost anywhere. But what they can't find easily is wisdom and perspective, guidance, trust, confidence, a real relationship. That's what we're talking about. That's how you separate yourself from your competition. So let me give you an example. Let's say there's two advisors. Both have the same credentials, both have the same planning software, both use phenomenal investments, both charge similar fees. We've got advisor number one conducts a review meeting, goes through the performance. You should. Market update. You should. Portfolio review. You should. Talks about this is what we're going to do in our next appointment. Very professional, very confident, very efficient. It's all great. However, advisor number two has the same review. But before the client arrives, someone on the team remembers, hey, don't forget that John and Susie, their daughter, just recently graduated nursing school. So when they arrive, first thing that they do is they make sure to congratulate them. They make sure to ask about the new job. They make sure to get into the real details of their daughter. Clients then light up. The meeting then becomes about life, about what really matters to them, their goals, their family, their dreams, their concerns. And then they also received a handwritten note congratulating their daughter. So if I'm going to ask you something, which of those two advisors do you think gets the referral? Which one do you think at that night really truly gets talked about at dinner? Genuinely. They both might get talked about at dinner, but genuinely. More importantly, which of those advisors do you believe becomes almost impossible to replace? Not the portfolio, the software, the strategy, the experience. That's what we're talking about today. So let's make it practical. Practical. Let's talk about some experiences that can set you apart. Because I'm sure some of you are thinking right now, all right, Rob, I get it, man. But what does this actually look like? Great question. So let's talk about the new client experience. So instead of overwhelming them, drowning them in paperwork, let's make sure we create a real welcome experience. So we have a welcome packet. We have true team introductions, what to expect over the next 90 days, a personalized welcome video that they receive when they get home, a small gift. The goal of that is extremely simple: to reduce uncertainty and to increase confidence. Let's talk about the milestone experience. Obviously, everyone sends birthday cards, get that, or birthday email maybe. However, very few celebrate real life moments. Talking about retirement anniversaries, grandchildren, the sale of a business, paying off a mortgage, college graduations of grandchildren. Those are the moments that matter. People truly remember those moments. This is a big one. We've touched on this a lot on this podcast. The loss of a spouse. Don't make that uncomfortable. Don't hide from this. Don't wait for them to heal before you interact. This is the one of the biggest opportunities in our profession to truly become a part of someone's life. When someone loses a spouse, they don't need you to be their financial advisor. That's not what we're talking about. They need someone to be there to help them carry the burden. And that, yes, part of that is to be their financial advisor, but really meaning providing them with a checklist of things that could be accomplished, resources, guidance, support, especially during the loss of a spouse. A client will never forget who showed up during difficult times. Just as an example, what one of my advisors reached out to me last week about our 60-point checklist, what to do before a spouse passes away. He had a seminar, and an individual set an appointment with him. When he showed up to the appointment, he said, "The only reason why I'm here is because of that 60-point checklist you talked about. My current advisor hasn't even spoken to me since he found out that my wife is currently in care, and he was very frustrated by that, and it was something to where just that 60-point checklist made all of the difference in the world, especially if your spouse is in hospice, just like this individual's was, and the advisor doesn't even reach out. That that's not a relationship. That is simply transactional. The next one of my favorites, the random check-in. Call a client for no reason at all. No reason at all. Nothing to do with the market, nothing to do with any of their investment portfolios. We're not talking about a review, no agenda. Just, "Hey John, nothing's going on. I was just thinking about you and Julie. Just want to see how things are going." When was the last time you've done that? When do you think the last time Anyone has done that to them. How many advisors out there do you think do that? Very few. I know for a fact, which is why this stands out. The next one is the education experience. You want to become the source of clarity. Always make sure you're providing videos, guides, checklists, educational workshops for them to attend, because something I learned a long time ago is that confused people hesitate and confident people act. And so we want to make sure that your clients are always confident with you and your firm. Now, this is a big one. We're going to have a podcast coming up very soon about legacy planning with estate planning, talking about the family experience. Do your clients' children know you? Not know of you, not know that mom and dad have a financial advisor, but do they know you? They saw you in the grocery store, would you have a conversation? Would they interact with you, not you interacting with them? Have they ever attended any of your events? Have they actually participated in a meeting? Because guess what? We're getting ready to see one of the largest wealth transfer generations in history. Not just wealth transfers, but relationship transfers. Think about that. If it were me, I would throw wealth transfer out the window, and I would call it relationship transfer, because that's genuinely what's happening. And what one of the other ones, one of my favorites, is the unexpected surprise experience. So make sure that you're always keeping notes, detailed notes about hobbies. Who loves to fish? Who loves to golf? Who loves to travel? Who's a gardener? And make sure that you surprise them with something thoughtful. I'm not saying expensive. I'm not saying you got to buy the golfer a new set of golf clubs, but something thoughtful. This is what people remember. And let's talk about better experiences just for business, just in general. And we're not talking about just being nice. This is about overall building a stronger practice, because a better experience, what that does is, and what that creates, is higher retention, more referrals, less fee pressure, more trust, better client conversations, like we just talked about, stronger multi-generational relationships. Because when your clients love the experience, what happens then is they stop evaluating every single tiny little detail. They stop comparing, they stop shopping. And what they do, most importantly, is they start advocating. That the best marketing in the world is a client who says, "Hey, you need to meet my advisor." I just had the opportunity last week to attend one of my advisors' client appreciation event, and I've been there several years in a row now, so I've gotten to know his clients pretty well, which is awesome. I love that. And one of my favorite clients, he comes up to me. He's like, "Rob, how's it going?" And we're just talking, like we haven't lost any time at all. That's why I told my wife. I go, I don't understand what it is. It's almost like we've known each other our whole lives. But anyways, so he was talking to me about one of his favorite things to do is to hand out one of Jason's the advisor. When I'm talking to the client, one of Jason's last business cards. I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "That means throughout the month, I've done a good enough job of handing out his business cards." He goes, "I make it a point to once a month to go into Jason's office to grab a stack of business cards. And everyone I see that I interact with that has had a positive experience, whether I'm getting my oil changed, whether I'm at the dentist's office, I'm going to see my doctor." He says, "The thing that I say to them is like, hey, you know what? I've appreciated this experience so much. I've appreciated our relationship so much. I appreciate you so much that I want to make sure that you meet with my retirement advisor. He's done such a phenomenal job for me and my family that I consider it to be one of the most caring things that I can do to introduce you to my retirement advisor." Wow. You kidding me? Like that is what I'm talking about. That that these are experiences that Jason, my advisor, has obviously created time and time and time again for this particular client for him to say, you know what? It's my goal to bring you referrals. And he said he always gets asked the question, well, what do you get out of this? And he goes, the satisfaction of helping someone. He said, I love to volunteer. My wife and I, now that we are retired, we volunteer all over the place. So we love to serve. We believe you working with Jason and him helping you with retirement is one of the best ways that we can serve you. I mean, quite literally, it almost brought tears to my eyes because that's where you're trying to get. That's the level, the service level, the experience level that you and your firm need to bring. In fact, Jason and his wife Amy, they said something pretty awesome that they're going to create the annual Golden Goose Award for the individual that provides them with the most referrals. And obviously, this particular client, in my humble opinion, is just going to crush the competition. But that's what I'm talking about here today. And this was all being told to me at the client appreciation event. It was at a minor league baseball game, and he had 250 clients there. Each and every single individual just loved the event. They loved being a part of it. The really cool thing is, once again, going back to the experience, they look forward to it each and every single year, and they become tighter and tighter and tighter knit group. That they know one another. They hang out with each other now on the weekends. It's just for me on the outside, not really, but on the outside looking in, I thought, man, if I had ever had a firm, this is what I would want. So for you, what I want to do is I want to challenge you. I want you to grade yourself scale of 1 to 10. How would a client rate your first appointment, your onboarding process, your communication, your review meetings, your appreciation strategies, your life transition support, your family engagement, your follow-ups, and then I want you to challenge yourself here. Here's the tougher question. Where are you a 4 pretending you're a 9? That's where your opportunity lives throughout all of this. Because here's what I want you to understand is that small improvements compound, especially over years, over hundreds of relationships, over thousands of interactions. And here's the thing, eventually those improvements, those become your reputation. And I I guarantee you all have a vision of an experience that you want your clients to have. But have you sat down with your firm and intentionally designed it? And then after you have designed it, have you intentionally implemented it? Have you intentionally tracked it? Because there's a huge gap between intention and execution. I'm not saying you don't care deeply. I know that you do. I know that your team cares deeply. But does your process communicate that? Does your onboarding communicate that? Does your follow up communicate that? Does every single touch point reinforce that? Because if your experience is left to chance, it becomes very inconsistent. And this is very much common sense. Inconsistent experiences create inconsistent results. So, my challenge to you over the next 90 days, improve one thing, not 10 things. One thing, meaning one improvement to onboarding, one improvement to your communication, one improvement to your review meetings, one improvement to your appreciation, one improvement to your family engagement, one improvement to any of your life transition planning. Then let's watch what happens. Because those businesses that are just crushing it out there, those extraordinary businesses, those aren't built through dramatic changes. They're built through intentional improvements that are repeated consistently over time. So if today's conversation got you thinking differently about the experiences that you're creating for your clients, I want to provide you something practical. We put together a resource specifically for you to take advantage of. It's simply called the Client Experience Blueprint. Not a very fancy name, but inside you'll find tons of value. So you're going to find strategies and ideas and systems and practical examples that are designed to help you create a memorable first impression, improve your client communication, increase your referrals organically, strengthen your client loyalty, and quite frankly, just deliver a more consistent experience across your firm. I understand this, but most advisors focus on finding more clients. That makes sense. But the best advisors are focused on becoming more referable. That's a completely different universe. So if you'd like that, just head out to our website. Once again, it's the Client Experience Blueprint. And our website is simply evolvewithgradient.com/ignite team. Evolvewithgradient.com/ignite team. Request your copy, review it, again, implement just one idea, because that one idea that's actually implemented is infinitely more valuable than 100 ideas that never leave your notebook. Trust me, I've seen it. I've seen it. Before we wrap up, I want to say something directly to every advisor listening. Thank you. Thank you for serving your communities. Thank you for helping families navigate difficult decisions. Thank you for helping people to retire with confidence. Thank you for being there during some of life's most important moments. And this is something I'm very passionate about, making clear to you that you hear that the work that you do matters more than you probably realize. And if nobody's told you lately, keep going. Your families need you. Your communities need you. This profession needs great advisors. Once again, if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, subscribe, follow, share this episode with your team, with your firm. Until next time, stay focused, stay intentional, stay client centered, and as always, stay unstoppable. This has been another episode of Unfiltered and Unstoppable. I'm your host, Rob Romesburg. As always, thank you for what you do.
The opinions herein may be from personal experience and may not necessarily be those of the Gradient Financial Group, its employees, or affiliates. Any results, topics, or outcomes are for informational purposes only. Financial professional use only. Rob Romesburg does not render tax, legal, or accounting advice and is not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency.